The Creator wisely arranged it so that we can produce our food from the soil of the earth. Everything that we eat, use, or wear comes from the earth. Everything. And infinite intelligence has very wisely provided a system whereby you can be sure of getting your food out of the soil of the earth. How? By complying with the laws of nature. You go out there and you plant the seed. You plant it in soil that you have examined to make sure it has the elements in there that you want into the plant. You plant it at the right season. You plant it at the right depth in the ground. All of those things you do in way of going the extra mile. You do them in advance. And then what do? You go back the next day and start harvesting, do you? No, you time it properly. You find out what nature requires in order to produce to convert or transmute a seed of wheat into a stalk of wheat with 500 or 1,000 grains on it. And you comply with nature's laws. That's what you do. And it's the same thing identically in connection with this subject of faith. In anything else, you expect guidance. You do your part. You have to do your part. You always will find that there's a part that you must do in connection with any example of a demonstration of faith. Faith will do nothing for you if you expect everything to be done for you outside of yourself. It's guidance. And if you expect to get the answer, there you'll have it. And faith probably, now notice that word probably down there. Why do you think I say faith probably works through the subconscious section of the mind? I'll tell you why I put it there, because nobody knows definitely whether it does or not. It's a theory, and for want of a better theory, I'm using it. It appears to work through the subconscious section of the mind, the subconscious acting as the gateway between the conscious section of the mind and infinite intelligence. My mental picture of what happens when you pray properly is that you first condition your mind, you know what it is you want, and then you transfer over to your subconscious mind a clear picture. That subconscious is the intermediary or the gatekeeper between you and infinite intelligence. It's the only one that can turn on the power of infinite intelligence for you. It's the only way you can reach into infinite intelligence in my book of rules. And if that isn't correct, as far as I'm concerned, it might as well be correct, because that's the way I get it to work. Now, the definite essential steps in the development of self-reliance based on faith. If there's anything that people need more than everything else, it's self-reliance, belief in yourself. Here are the steps. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I'm going to call your attention to the most important ones. First of all, you adopt a major purpose and begin at once to attain it. That's the first step in building self-confidence. You know, when you know what you want and you start in getting it, you have a measure of self-reliance. You're demonstrating a measure of self-reliance, because if you didn't believe in yourself, you wouldn't even begin, would you? The very fact that you start, even though you're a long way from attaining the thing you're going after, shows that you have a measure or a degree of self-reliance. And the more you pursue that idea, the stronger that belief will be. And next, associate as many as possible of the 9 basic motives with the object of the definite major purpose. In other words, have yourself inspired by as many as possible of those 9 basic motives when you go after anything. You know, you've had this experience. You wanted something very badly, and in order to get to something that you wanted very badly, a material something, it meant extra money that you couldn't lay your hands on. You didn't have it in the bank, you weren't earning it. What do you do in a case of that kind? Borrow? Well, a lot of people do, but there's always something else too that you can do that's more important than borrowing. Why, you begin to connive and work out some sort of a scheme to earn some more money, don't you? That's what you do. My little son Blair, when he's about 6 or 7 years old, wanted a nice an electrical train. It cost $50. And it was more than we felt we could give him at that time, because we'd had to give the other 2 children $50 gifts too. And I told Blair that. He said, "Oh, I didn't ask you to buy me anything." I said, "Well, that's different. Fine." He said, "I just wanted your approval to buy the train." And then he made out the order. Lionel train, $50. And there came a big snow the next day, and he borrowed a shovel from the janitor, and he went down the street cleaning off sidewalks. Didn't ask anybody if he could do it, just started cleaning off their sidewalks. And they'd all come out and get into conversation with him and say, "Oh, I thought it'd be a nice thing to just clean off your sidewalks. I see you haven't started doing it yet. I thought it'd be nice if you'd appreciate it." And invariably, they'd give him a quarter, a $half, sometimes $1. One man gave him $5. And before the end of the month, long before the end of the month, he had his $50 and $10 more that he'd earned himself. His mother thought that he ought not to be permitted to do that. kind of disgraced us to let him go on down the street cleaning off sidewalk. Well, I say, disgrace my eye. They ought to find out who we are, that we can raise a child like this. How we do it. Motive. And write out a list of all the advantages of your definite major purpose and call these into your mind many times daily, thereby making your mind success conscious. Did you know that in order to be healthy, you have to be health conscious? Did you know that? No matter what other precautions you take, if your mental attitude is not health conscious, if you're not thinking in terms of health, if you're not expecting that you're going to be healthy, you're not going to be, no matter what else you do. And it's the same thing with reference to success. If you accept any kind of a fear complex or an inferiority complex, if you don't expect success of yourself and develop a success expectation or consciousness, you're not going to be a success. You just have to do that. If your major purpose is to achieve some material thing or money, see yourself already in possession of it when you call it into your consciousness. This is of vital importance, because there, again, is coming into play your power of faith. And if your faith isn't great enough that you can see the thing already in your possession even before you start to get it, then you are not making use of applied faith. And associate with people who are in sympathy with you and your major purpose, and lead them to encourage you in every way possible. This has reference only to close friends or members of your mastermind alliance. Don't disclose your aims and purposes to people who are not absolutely dependable, loyal, and close to you. Especially loyal. Because it's surprising how sometimes people to whom you disclose your ideas, if they're good ideas, they go around the corner and beat you to the draw, and they're using your ideas before you use them. Or they're saying something to discourage you. And let not a single day pass without making at least one definite move toward the attainment of your major purpose. Faith is a positive mental attitude in action. And your mental attitude is reflected in every word you speak, and it speaks louder than your words. Your mental attitude is the sum total of your thoughts at a given time. A positive mental attitude has its roots in the spiritual wells of one's soul. How true that is, and what a wonderful statement that is. A positive mental attitude has its roots in the spiritual wells of one's soul. Mental attitude is the medium by which adversities may be transmuted into benefits. And so the list goes. Now, you'll find some of those that appeal to you more than others. Print them out in a card or in some form where you can put them up, where you can see them each day. Make them your own. Surround yourself with suggestions. Everywhere you look, you'll see something that suggests a positive mental attitude. You'll notice when you go into the office of a successful person or into the home of a successful person, if you can find his den or the place where he himself withdraws unto himself, you'll find that oftentimes he has himself surrounded with pictures of those whom he considers great. Oftentimes he'll have mottos on the walls. I've seen hundreds of them. I walked into Ed Barnes's office one time, and I found out that he had over 500 mottos done up in beautiful cards, hand-lettered, every one of them. It must have cost him a small fortune. I walked into my friend Jennings Randolph's office when he was in Congress in Washington, and I found he had all of the walls of his congressional office covered with the pictures of men whom he considered great. He did that to live in the environment of the great, in the environment of things that kept his mind positive. Start in where you are, in your home, in your business, in your office, wherever you stay the most. Maybe it's in your bedroom. You certainly sleep every night. Start in there to put up something that'll give you a positive thought just before you go to bed. And it'll remind you every time you go in there.